So one of the slight headaches about making the legs like this, where the extension sort of slides out, is of course that at some point, well, first of all, you've got to fix it all together. Now you can do that with dominoes or even sort of glued nails or whatever you want to use. But of course, I want to be able to fix through the top here into the desk top, so it's got to be sort of accessible. And of course, with bull race runners, giving the extension, at some point they might need a little bit of attention. You never know, it might need a little bit of grease or something. So in an ideal world, this end would have some kind of knockdown fixing on it, some kind of removable panel to make access easier. Now I haven't actually used these before in a piece of furniture, but I'm going to give our old friends button fix a try. You might remember these. I did a little video about these when I was doing a kitchen fit. They're a simple little bracket and button fixing, and I think they'll be just about perfect for this application. They're small, they're light, they're discreet, they'll be tucked away inside there. You won't see them, but at the same time you'll be able to have access to pop the panel off when you need it, and also while I'm actually installing the desk on site. With this application there's no need for the red marking buttons. I can simply offer up the complete assembly and screw them in place. And with all that done, I need to pull it all apart again so I can cut the domino mortises. Okay, so with everything stripped apart now, all the drawer runners are out, the centre sections are all out. Everything's marked up for the dominoes. I'm going to put the dominoes in for the top and bottom sections that are fixed to the inner parts of the leg. And one thing I've got to do, because I've only used 15mm MDF for these sections to get it as thin as possible, as slim as possible, I've had to just remember to set the domino to 12mm for this, because if normally with a 5mm domino you do 15-15, well, it punches straight through the side, so 12 on this side and 20 on the other, and that should be okay. So I was just going to dry fit this, but I think I'll actually glue it in, then it can be drying. Normally I leave the components separate until after they're painted, but this is the inside, so I don't think it'll be a particular problem getting a decent finish on this, so I'm just going to glue these guys in. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know how I glue and clamp the dominoed faces together, so I'll just let this run through at high speed. So what we've got here, these are the two sort of ends, the two legs, the two supports, if you like, for our desktop, and these are the slide out extensions. Now fairly obviously we want a capping piece on the front of this, of each of these, and what I've done is I've just taken a piece of MDF and routed a groove in it so that it fits over that, and these have been trimmed to height. Because this isn't quite central, it made it easier to actually just route it so that it was roughly right, and then just let it overhang, and we'll trim those back to fit. It's just a slightly easier way of doing it rather than sort of, it's only about 1 millimetre offset, but it was offset enough that it made it a little bit awkward. So much easier just to make things slightly overhang and then just trim them back to size. So that's what I'm going to do now. So they look like they're fitting pretty nicely. I mean, very slightly proud, but they'll sand back without any real problems. What I am going to do though is I'm actually going to trim these back by about 9mm. So we'll just use a little scrap of 9mm in there on each one. The reason for that is quite simply they're going in a room that is currently carpeted, so there'll be a little bit of softness, a little bit of sponginess underneath. The bottom of the extensions will be on little wheels. They'll run in exactly on the same sort of carpet height, So that's not too big a problem. But I do know that the client's also going to have a hardwood floor laid. Probably not this year, but early next. So it's, you know, just thinking in terms of how it looks. I think 6mm, 1/4 inch would be too short. That's going to snag on the carpet. But I think 12mm, 1/2 inch is actually going to be too much when you've got a hardwood floor in there. So I'm compromising at 9mm for now, and maybe come the day we'll actually remake these fronts or something. But for the moment, I'm just going to trim these back by 9mm, and then we can glue them in, clamp them up, and leave them to set. With the capping pieces trimmed back, they can be glued and clamped in the usual way and left to dry. This is the kind of moment of truth kind of thing, really. Has it glued well enough that I can pull it out? Yeah, I think it has, actually. There's clearly a bit of glue in there. It needs to come away, but not bad. Okay, so there's a little bit of cleaning up to do on these inside edges, lots of little glue dribbles and glue squeeze still there. It'll take 2 seconds. So once again we pull the sections apart, clean up the glue squeeze and cross pin the fascias in place before adding some 2-pack resin filler, and once set, sand it all smooth. So one of the things, the remaining things that I've got to do is fix the legs to the top, and also I need to put a couple of braces at the back here. So this is the top. That's the actual top of the desk. This is the underside, and this is the back. So we've got these two sort of leg sets to go in here. And what I want to do is I'm just going to make sure they're flush with the back edge. And I just want to inset them by a couple of millimeters. I'm just using a 2mm packer for this, just to give it a little bit of a rebate against the top. Just looks nicer. We'll do the same on this side. What we're going to do, we'll have a board across here just to connect the top two of the legs together to stop it sort of splaying. What's the word? Racking. That's the word. So we need to know how wide that needs to be and how to fix it. We'll have another shorter one at the base as well, just to keep the legs in check. So I've got my two little bits of board cut and ready to go, and they're going to fit pretty nicely, I think. One down there, in line, and one up here to stop the legs splaying. And I think what I'll do, I'm just going to pop a little clamp to here to stop that shifting about. We'll do the same here. With everything clamped up, I can drill through the legs into the rails and fix the legs to the top. So this is the bottom rail, and I'm actually going to fit it so that it's slightly off the floor, because if it was exactly on the floor and the floor ends up being uneven, it's going to introduce sort of wobbliness, and I don't want that. So I'll keep that pretty much as it is. And we can pop a couple of screws in.